Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you the last layout in our day 2 of our Oahu trip. These are 2 pages that show some beautiful sights on the, I'm probably not going to say this right, but hopefully I'll be close, on the Makapu'u lookout area, which is the, if you know Oahu, it's the southeastern northern tip, if that makes any sense at all. So, so the island kind of sits angled a little bit. You would go down the northern coast all the way to the southern point, and it's right there. There's actually a lighthouse there with a really nice hike that you can go on. We did not go on the hike, but we did go to the lookout and saw some really amazing things, which I'll talk about later. But join me. Let's take a look at my workspace and see what kind of fun we can have with this layout. It's going to be a little bit different. I hope you like it. Okay, what I have on my desktop right now is our cloud punch. This is a frame punch. You know that because there are lines on each of the wings on each side that indicate where you can put your paper in order to make a frame. But we're not necessarily using it for that today. Today, what we're going to do is I'm going to use these 2 different shades of blue. One is from an old pack of CM cardstock that was called light blue. That's this one. And this one is from our new cardstock, standard cardstock line, which is called baby blue. So I'm going to use both of these because I want to show a little bit of depth, or try to, on my pages. So this is going to be a little bit more in the background. This one will be a little more in the foreground, and let me show you what we're going to do. So first of all, I'm going to take my light blue page, and I want some elongated triangles. So what I mean by that is I want a triangle that's going to go all the way across my page pretty much. And I'm thinking that something about 3.5, let's go with 3.5 inches. I think that'll work. So I'm gonna just set that up there in case I need it later. I'm going to tip my paper, and you'll see that my 12-inch trimmer is just long enough that I should be able to cut on the diagonal from the left hand point to the right hand point, and be able to cut that right in half. And because it's cardstock, I can flip it any old direction and make it work. In this case, we're going to use it like this on each of those pages. So I'm just going to set that down over there for just a minute. Then what I'm going to do is cut, and I'm trying to remember the measurements. I know I had them written down and they just escaped my brain. But I think it's 2.25 inches that we need for this one. Let me see here. Let's try that. Let's try 2.25. Actually, before I cut this cardstock, let me grab a piece of scratch paper and we'll try it first. So let me try 2.5 and just see if that is going to get us what we want, the effect that I want. So what I'm trying to do is make a double-sided cloud. So I'm just going to use, just for the sake of practice, this line on the outside edge to go ahead and punch these and see if they're, see, that's a little bit too close together. My lines overlap right here. All right, so let's try That was 2.5, so let's do 3 inches. Let's see if 3 inches will work. I should be able to put this in this way. We'll see. All right, so that works better. Maybe what we should go with is something more like 2 3/4. Then it will be closer, slightly closer together without being overlapping like this one was. I don't want to use this though, I think it will be too much. So let's try, I'm just gonna cut one more practice piece. You'll notice this is on the back of one of the cover sheets from a paper pack, so I'm not, you know, destroying a bunch of cardstock that I might want to use for a project, which is okay. Okay, so that works pretty well. I think I don't want them to overlap quite like that though. I think what I may do is do like that and then turn it around. Something like that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I probably should have figured that out before I started recording. Okay, so we're going to take our baby blue cardstock. We're going to cut a strip at 2 3/4. And actually I'm going to need 2 of those. And what I may do is just go ahead and do 3 of them so that I can use this as another element around my page. So we're going to punch both sides of all 3 of these pieces, and I'm going to line it up with my mark on the front of my punch to start it. Okay, I was just a little off. It was hard to see, but that's okay. I think it'll be all right, regardless. What I could do is just go ahead and line it up. This time I'm going to line it up like it's going to be a frame, which will be okay to do. So I'll come back and I will fix it, finish it. I'll show you. Though it does kind of push our design off just a smidgen of the way. Oops. All right. That's okay though. No clouds are the same. We were coming home from dinner last night, and oh my goodness, there was a huge cloud bank that rolled in, and it looked so dark and angry. Of course, you know, it's supposed to be spring now, but apparently someone forgot to tell the weather people. Because that cloud was just ominous. And it quite literally looked like it was going to swallow up whatever was in its path. Okay, I have quite a bit underneath there. My punch is not laying flat. From all the punch debris underneath. Get it taken care of. All right. All right, the cloud punch is so fun to play with. So my thought is that we will take each one of these and run them kind of across this direction. And what I may need to do is kind of come back with a portion of what I could trim off and see if it will line up with any of this. But because when you do things on an angle, it kind of makes it a little tough. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so these are my photos from this particular afternoon. It was starting to head towards evening by the time we got there, so the sun was starting to come down a little lower, as you can see. And so the reason I wanted to do clouds for this is because I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but right here in the middle of this collage of two enlargements that I've got, you can see a paraglider right here. This is an area that they call the East Wind Launch off of Makapu'u Lookout area, and actually the wind launch is down here a little closer to the beach. But they literally will just step out of their vehicles and with their parachute attached, and somehow they unfurl it in a way that it catches the wind as it's coming in, and it just literally picks them right up. They don't have to have any kind of a vehicle to give them increased wind lift or anything. It just picks them right up, and then they kind of go back and forth until they reach a higher altitude. And at one point, I think we saw, I don't know, 7 or 8 of them in the air, and it was just quite a sight. Really, really a fun thing to see. So I thought it would be fun to somehow depict the clouds and try to reflect on the air. Also, the beautiful clouds that were in the sky that day were really, really pretty. Okay, so I think we're going to do that and then probably mount these photos. What should we mount them with? Some green fern, some sunshine. That would actually be kind of cute. It would sort of matches the blue in the border. I think I like this best, but I don't know if I don't think I can matte all of them because I only have this one sheet of this paper. So I'll have to select a few that I like that that for sure need to be mounted. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to get this border put on. Not a lot of color difference, but I think it's enough color difference where you can see the shadow. My repositionable adhesive all the way out to that tip. Love it, love it. Makes it so much easier. So less time consuming and stressful to put adhesive all the way down and know that tip is going to stay right where you put it. All right, then we're going to do some repositionable adhesive all across. And make this as relatively straight as we can. Looks a little like popcorn this way, but I think that's okay. All right, let's go ahead and trim off this top part, and we'll see if, I thought I had my scissors handy, but I guess I put them away. See if any of these can be used to kind of fill in this spot down here. Maybe a little bit. That would work. It's not exact, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be super exact. I'm going to use the edge of my scissors and just run it. Oops, I need more adhesive on there so it stays. Ah! Oh, you guys. I get myself into such fixes. All right. Did you see what I did there? I used my permanent adhesive instead of my repositionable adhesive. And repositionable if you don't have it in your arsenal at home. Repositionable adhesive is made with little dots, so it can go over all these little openings and you don't see it because where there's no paper, it doesn't adhere. But permanent will adhere because it's a little bar, little strip. And I didn't want it to. Now I get the fun job of taking it off, which is easier said than done sometimes. Especially if you have any kind of fingernails at all. They can help a little, but sometimes not as much as you might think. Okay, just folding that back, this adhesive, so it's out of the way and less noticeable. There we go. All right, let's try that again, shall we? And we'll use repositionable adhesive, which is what I had wanted to use in the first place. But then I got in my own way. All right. There's that. Now let me see if I can just go ahead and cut these little bits right at the jeeping so I can peel off the piece that I don't want that's over the jeeping. There we go. Just have a little corner. Maybe it might be worth just leaving it there, because that's kind of tricky to get off. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about the other side at this point. All right. So I do need a mat for this collage of 2 photos. Let me grab my trimmer. And I'm just going to even up this top edge so that it looks nice and clean. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom. So it's nice and straight. Okay. Now I need a 5. I need at least a 5 1/4 by 9 3/4 piece of paper. So maybe let's do 5 3/8. 5 3/8 by 9 3/4. Five. 5 3/8 is a hard measurement to do on this. There's a reason we don't do that very often. So 5 3/8 by 9 3/4. And that should give me a nice frame. To go around that. And add just a little bit of color. All right, now what else are we going to, which other ones are we going to frame? Maybe this one and this one. That'll work. Okay, so let's do, need a 7. All right, if we take 4.5 off for this, for that photo, that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. So that would be good. We can do that. Okay, so 4.5. We're just going to take 4.5 off this end. And then I want this to be 6.5. And that's for this photo. That's going to go on that page. And then this one will be, this one is 7.5 this way. And I need it to be 5.5 this way. Okay, and that will be for this page. All right, so let's go ahead and mount those up, and then we can put those on our mats that we created. This picture also has a picture of a skydiver, or not a skydiver, he's a paraglider. I always used to think that they only did paragliding like on the hook to a back of a boat, but not so. I guess if you have sufficient wind, you don't need that. Okay. So this one is going to go roughly 1/4 of an inch from the center jeeping and 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. This one will be about 1/8 of an inch in between, the same distance from the center. Just enough room for me to put a title up there on top. And this guy, I think I'm going to sneak underneath here, because it's just sky we're covering up. So I don't think that will be an issue. Maybe we'll lower it down just a smidge. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch from this outside edge, and layered underneath the top, but over the top of the bottom. All right. So there is the left side of the page. Let's do the right side of the page. All right. Perfect. Repositionable adhesive. And I'm putting it roughly at the halfway mark. So the corner of it is touching the jeeping over here, and the halfway portion is touching the triangle at the top. Okay. Almost did it again. Did you see that? I picked up the wrong stuff. I could hear you yelling, "No, don't do it." And I just put adhesive on the wrong side too. All right. Because I need it to go kind of more like that. This one. Kind of like so. Sorry, had to get that adhesive off that I put on the wrong side. Down, and now I have no adhesive on the right side of this one. Goodness, I'm kind of a mess all of a sudden. All right. Here we go. And that overlaps the jeeping just a smidge, but I'm going to be all right with that. Okay. Not exact. So those of you who are exacting individuals, I apologize. That is just not exact, but it is the way it is. Okay. We have these 3 photos, which are from that same area. This one shows a van that actually had some paragliders jumping out and down the rocks, and all of a sudden their parachute would fill up and they would glide away. It was so fun. Very fun. All right. So 1/4 of an inch from the center. That's a generous 1/4 of an inch, I have to say. Then this one's gonna go about a 1/4 of an inch this way. That will allow us to do a little more embellishing up here, or add a journal box. Probably add a journal box and do a little embellishing. This one I don't like right here, so I'm going to move it, and I'm going to move it closer to these others, keeping the bottom margin the same and the top margin even. So you can see the paraglider paratrooper. My husband was a paratrooper, so I automatically go to that. Paraglider here, doing his swoops and going back and forth. There's a gentleman standing right here on the rocks, and you can't really see it because it didn't make it into the picture. I actually trimmed it off, I think. But there was a little blip right here on the picture, which is a radio-controlled airplane that he was controlling with a little panel, and it was swooping and doing all kinds of fun things also, which was neat. Okay, so let's see if we can do something fun with our extra clouds that we punched. I want to see if maybe we could have them, would it be weird to have them come out from underneath that photo right there? Maybe it would be weird. Here, or in between there. I think I'm going to put them kind of coming up from underneath that photo. Let me grab my trimmer because I'll have a more accurate cut that way. So 4 inches is what I want. Rid of that little guy. Nope. See, I got distracted. I put adhesive on the piece that I haven't decided what I'm doing with yet. Okay. Sorry, ladies. This piece, I'm just going to sort of nestle behind this photo at the top. There we go. Since we did that with that one, maybe that's what we should do over here too. So I'm just going to trim off about the length of one cloud. Add a little bit more adhesive since he's just a little guy. I'll stick him back behind here. I'm going to make him stop even with the photo instead of going all the way to the edge. I think it looks nicer. So that's what we did over here. Alright, so there's that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just trim a couple of these and we can use them as embellishments on our page. Cloud embellishments. All right. Oh, I have one more I can do. So all I'm doing is just sort of continuing the shapes that I'm seeing in the punch to continue making those billows. Now we have a couple of extra little clouds which we can use. Let's see, what else can we add to this? Oh, I think we need a journal box because all of that stuff I just explained to you, I need to write down on my page. Right? Wouldn't you say? Okay, so there's a journal box. And I think the journal box is going to go on this side. And I think we'll nestle it kind of underneath here. Like that. Alright, now a little bit more repositionable adhesive on these clouds. This guy didn't have any. How did he escape? I don't know. Alright, so I'm just going to add another little cloud kind of overlapping my journal box right there. I can add another one maybe here. And another one here. We can say sun and fun. Let's see, what else could I use? Some leaves. Sun and fun with a big leaf next to it. I'll have a title up here. So maybe sun and fun and the leaf and the cloud. Or maybe should we use a different leaf? Or maybe two? Sorry, just digging through my embellishments I have left. It's hard when you get down to just a couple, right? And you have to be kind of choosy. Okay, I think we're going to go with that. Grab my foam squares. I'll pop this guy up, and I think that's all I'm gonna do on here, mostly because I'm gonna put a title over here that will have more be more attention getting, and I don't think I need to overload this page. This was just a really cool tree bush I wasn't sure if it was a tree or a bush. But it didn't have any leaves on it, which I thought was really interesting, that there was no foliage. And the birds thought it was really cool to fly into for protection because it had all these little tiny branches that stuck out, which was neat. All right. There we go. What do we think? Looking at it in the display, I think that looks pretty good. Without the glare, of course. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right? And if you haven't already done so, I would be honored if you would subscribe to my channel. That would really help me out. And be great. And then that way you won't miss, if you set your notifications, you won't miss any of the other postings that I do. So any other of the other videos. I hope that you've enjoyed watching this and helping me mentally figure out and put this together. As I know some of you talk to me while you're watching, and that's totally fine. I can hear you. Yeah. So I'm glad that you were with me today, and until next time, I wish you many more creative moments. Thanks so much for joining me. You have a great day now.